It was a road less traveled, an offshoot of the more heavily used Oregon Trail, a route that stretched from near present-day Casper, Wyoming, past the eastern flank of the Bighorn Mountain, then westward to the Yellowstone River, and on to the gold fields of Montana Territory.
The Bozeman Trail started in the midst of the Civil War and ended in 1868, just 1 year before the completion of the Transcontinental Railroad.
It was the last of the great gold rush trails, a shortcut to dreams of fame and fortune.
The allure of the most recent gold strike and being there at the beginning, hopefully being able to find a good claim, was a strong incentive for these people to move west and to move relatively quickly.
You always will have entrepreneurs and people interested in figuring out ways to get there faster. And I think gold rushes in themselves have a nature of speed.
It was a landscape traversed by a cast of characters that are Western legend.
Some of the most diverse peoples of our Western history were here or came through or lived here.
It was a terrain rich in grassland and teeming with wildlife. Tribal land.
So this was prime habitat for game, for living, and it was worth fighting for and dying for.
The buffalo was our whole livelihood. I mean, that was our home, our clothes, our shields.
These competing aspirations, traditions, and expectations would lead to a clash of cultures.
The perspective of the Lakota is this is our home and we want to protect it. And the perspective of the people on the Bozeman Trail are we just want to get to the gold fields. And then the attitude of the federal government, well, maybe we need to protect these people.
As a result, military forts were built. Treaties were broken.
I have said 3 or 4 times that the document that you have before you is not the document that I agreed to. I did not agree to this treaty.
And war erupted.
It was the beginning of the Indian Wars here and the beginning of the real heavy bloodshed.
They had no idea there were 1,500 Indians waiting in a well-staged ambush.
There's multiple year-long investigations from the Army and from Congress and from the Office of Indian Affairs trying to figure out what happened.
It was the beginning, for some, of a bright new future. And for others, the end of a traditional way of life. This road less traveled, this rush to the gold fields of Montana, and the Indian wars that followed, is the story of the Bozeman Trail. On a warm July day in 1862, John White leads a ragtag group of Colorado prospectors up a creek teeming with grasshoppers in the vast Idaho Territory. The Lewis and Clark expedition had named the waterway Willard Creek more than 50 years earlier. Cursing the hordes of insects, they rename it Grasshopper Creek. But curses soon turn to jubilation, washing the creek-bed gravels in their tin pans. They immediately see color, pay dirt. News of the strike and outrageous rumors travel fast. People say you can pull up some sagebrush, shake out the roots, and collect a pan's worth of gold. By fall, more than 400 fortune seekers descend on the place now called Bannack. Among them is a tall 26-year-old Georgian named John Bozeman. John Merriam Bozeman had left his wife and 3 small children in Pickens County, Georgia, 2 years earlier. Unable to strike it rich at the Pikes Peak Gold Rush, he journeyed further west.
It was not uncommon for the head of a family to leave the family and go west to seek opportunity with the goal of ultimately relocating, either coming back with wealth to the family back east or having the whole family eventually relocate.
But Bozeman would never see his family again. Bannack quickly becomes the epitome of a Wild West mining boomtown, a volatile mix of rough, dirty work, free-flowing liquor, guns, gambling, and lawlessness.
I don't know how many deaths have occurred this winter, but that there have not been twice as many is entirely owing to the fact that drunken men do not shoot well. Emily Meredith.